Today we're setting sail on the extraordinary story of a ship that witnessed history in the making. Built during the Cold War as the Soviet ocean liner Alexander Pushkin, this vessel was reborn as the iconic MS Marco Polo. For over 50 years, she carried passengers across the seas, evolving from an emblem of Soviet engineering to a beloved cruise ship adored by travelers worldwide. But what led to her ultimate fate, scrapped on the shores of Alang, India? Hello everyone, it's Jamie from Old Shipping Lines. Join me as we talk about the rise and fall of the legendary MS Marco Polo.
The vessel began her life as the Russian ship Alexander Pushkin, owned by the Baltic Sea Shipping Company. She was constructed at the VEB Matthias Thyssen Werft shipyard in Wismar, East Germany, and was the second ship of the Ivan Franko class. This class, also known as the Poet or Writer class, was named after renowned literary figures, with Alexander Pushkin honoring the famous Russian poet. The other ships in this distinguished class were the Ivan Franko, Taras Shevchenko, Shota Rustaveli, and Mikhail Lermontov. The Ivan Franko class ships featured several unique design elements that set them apart from their Western counterparts. These included 6-person cabins and bathrooms with 3 taps for hot, cold, and seawater features, long abandoned in Western liners. The ships also introduced forward-thinking amenities like all outside accommodations for passengers and crew, and an indoor-outdoor swimming pool with a sliding glass roof, built with enhanced hull strength and stability for navigating broken ice. The ships were designed with dual purposes: passenger service and military use. Their large provision and storage areas enabled a cruising range of over 10,000 nautical miles, and they were equipped with powerful deck lifting gear for transporting armored vehicles. Passenger capacity ranged between 650 to 766 in 2 classes, with additional accommodations for 500 cabinless passengers. According to a 1971 deck plan printed for the Helsinki Passenger Agency, the Alexander Pushkin was designed to accommodate 668 passengers, 520 in tourist class and 148 in first class. Tourist class cabins were furnished with either 2 or 4 bunks, 1 or 2 wardrobes, a sofa, a table, and 1 or 2 chairs. Each cabin also included a wash basin, though sanitary facilities were shared among passengers. These cabins were located on the ship's 4 lowest decks: B, promenade deck; C, main deck; second deck; and third deck. First-class staterooms offered more privacy and comfort. Each room featured 2 beds, or a combination of a sofa bed and an upper Pullman berth, along with a table, chair, sofa, and nightstand. These staterooms also included private bathrooms equipped with a shower, toilet, and wash basin. Deluxe staterooms 101 to 104, located on the boat deck, offered additional amenities such as a desk with an armchair, a private telephone, and a bathtub instead of a shower. 2 special staterooms on the rear of the promenade deck, 277 and 279, shared a full bathroom and were equipped with baby cribs. All cabins, regardless of class, had either portholes or windows. Passenger facilities were located on the upper decks, providing a variety of entertainment and amenities. The main restaurant was situated on C deck. On B deck, passengers could visit the Kalinka shop, a gymnasium, a sauna, a children's playroom, and a swimming pool. The A deck, also known as the saloon deck, was a hub of activity. From bow to stern, it featured the music saloon with a piano and dance floor, the North Palmyra Cafe and the Cafe Penguin, the Berioska shop and an information kiosk, a post counter, a cinema, the smoking saloon with its friendship bar and playroom, a library, 2 hairdressing salons, a swimming pool and the Rusalka bar, Mermaid's bar. On the boat deck, there was an outdoor dance floor, while the bridge deck housed the veranda and the White Knights bar. Starting in 1972, the Ivan Franko-class ships underwent significant rebuilds. In the first phase, the cargo facilities were removed, and the forward superstructure was extended to provide more public spaces. This stage also saw the installation of stabilizers. The second phase involved reconfiguring the cabins to accommodate berths for all passengers. Notably, during a refit, in the 1970s, a discotheque was added to the Alexander Pushkin, making her the first Soviet ship to feature one. Focusing on the specifics of the Alexander Pushkin, this vessel had a gross tonnage of 19,860 gross registered tons. She measured 176.28 meters in length, and she had a beam of 23.55 meters. The ship was capable of reaching a speed of 20.5 knots. The Alexander Pushkin was launched on 26 April 1964. The Alexander Pushkin entered service in 1965 with the Baltic Shipping Company, one of the 3 main Soviet passenger shipping lines, alongside the Black Sea Shipping Company and the Far Eastern Shipping Company. Details about her service in the Soviet fleet remain sparse and sometimes contradictory, largely due to certain information still being classified by Russian authorities. However, most sources indicate that she was initially used to launch the Baltic Shipping Company's regular transatlantic service between Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and Leningrad. Later, she was repurposed for cruising duties. Other sources offer more detailed, though somewhat conflicting accounts. In his book The Liner, Retrospective and Renaissance, Philip Dawson outlines a full route for the Alexander Pushkin that included Leningrad, Helsinki, Copenhagen, London, Tilbury, Quebec City, and Montreal. Additionally, the ship was used for cruising from Montreal to destinations like Saint-Pierre and Miquelon, the Bahamas, and Cuba during the summer months. According to Dawson, the ship carried only 36 passengers on her first transatlantic crossing. However, cruisepage.com reports that the Alexander Pushkin operated on the Leningrad-Montreal route only during the summer, while for the remainder of the year, she was either used on crossings from Leningrad to Havana, Cuba, or on cruises chartered by Western companies. Fakta om Fartyg presents a slightly different version of events, suggesting that the Alexander Pushkin originally entered service as a cruise ship in 1965, only joining the Leningrad-Montreal route in April 1966. From 1967 to 1979, the ship primarily operated on the Leningrad-Bremerhaven-Montreal route during the summer months, while spending the rest of the year cruising. In 1979, she was dedicated solely to cruise traffic. It seems likely that the ship made stops in Helsinki and London on her transatlantic voyages. According to an article in Helsingin Sanomat, the Alexander Pushkin was particularly popular among Finnish passengers traveling to London and Canada, being the only ship offering crossings between Finland and Canada and the only liner providing Helsinki-London service at the time. Although not mentioned in any written sources, photographic evidence confirms that during her 1972 rebuild, the Alexander Pushkin had her superstructure enlarged with the forward section extended and new rear promenade decks added. In 1979, the Alexander Pushkin was chartered to the West Germany-based Transocean tours, marking the end of her transatlantic service. At this time, she was one of only 3 passenger liners still operating on transatlantic routes, alongside Cunard Line's Queen Elizabeth II and Polish Ocean Line's Stefan Batory. In addition to her role in liner and cruise service, 2 sources suggest that the Alexander Pushkin was also used by the Soviet Navy, particularly for missions related to interventions in African countries. In 1985, her charter with Transocean Tours concluded, and the Alexander Pushkin was transferred from the Baltic Shipping Company to the Far Eastern Shipping Company, who then chartered her to CTC Cruises for cruises operating from Europe and Australia. In 1990, her charter with CTC Cruises ended, and she was laid up in Singapore. The following year, in 1991, the ship was sold to Orient Lines, founded by cruise and hotel entrepreneur Jerry Herod, and renamed to the Marco Polo. After being purchased by Orient Lines, the Marco Polo was taken to Neorion Shipyard in Greece, where her engines were reconditioned by Sulzer diesels. The ship was then moved to Parama Shipyard, also in Greece, for a nearly complete reconstruction. Externally, this rebuild included a significant extension of the rear superstructure and the heightening of the funnel to maintain the ship's proportions. Internally, the ship underwent an almost total transformation under the direction of naval architect Knud Hansen and interior designers Michael and Agni Katsurakis. In addition to these visual changes, the Marco Polo was equipped with Denny Brown stabilizers, additional diesel engines, and brought up to the latest IMO and OLAS safety standards. The refit took 2.5 years, with various sources estimating the cost to be between $20 million and $60 million US. In 1993, following the completion of her conversion, the Marco Polo began offering a diverse range of cruises to destinations around the world, including some more unique locations such as Southeast Asia, Africa, and Antarctica. In 1998, Orient Lines was acquired by Norwegian Cruise Lines, but Marco Polo's itineraries continued unchanged. As part of the deal, the MS Crown Odyssey joined the Orient Lines fleet in 2000, making the company a 2-ship operation. However, Crown Odyssey departed the fleet in 2003, leaving the Marco Polo as the sole ship of the brand. Since 2005, she has also been the last remaining Ivan Franco-class vessel, as her sister ships have either sunk or been scrapped. In 2008, Norwegian Cruise Line sold the Marco Polo to the Greece-based Global Maritime Group, which subsequently chartered the ship to Germany's Transocean Tours. Marco Polo replaced the MS Ariel in the Transocean Tours fleet, operating cruises from the United Kingdom and Germany. The sale marked the end of the Orient Lines brand. Transocean Tours announced plans to operate the ship at least until 2012. On the 6th of July 2009, the Marco Polo made a stop in Invergordon, Easter Ross, Scotland, during a cruise departing from Tilbury in Essex. During a health inspection by local port health officials, Up to 150 passengers were found to be infected with what was presumed to be norovirus. The number of infected passengers and crew later increased to 400. On the same day, a 74-year-old passenger on board the ship passed away from a heart attack. Local health officials reported that the passenger had serious underlying health issues, and it was unclear whether a norovirus infection contributed to his death. Following this, on 7th July, Transocean Tours decided to cancel the remaining portion of the Marco Polo's 10-day cruise after consulting NHS Highland. Passengers were given the option to stay aboard the ship until she returned to Tilbury on the 11th of July, or to leave earlier via a specially arranged charter train. By 8th July, 3 infected passengers remained in Regmore Hospital. Some reports suggest that passengers on the Marco Polo's previous cruise, which ended in Tilbury on the 4th of July, may have also been affected by norovirus. However, Transocean Tours stated that the ship was inspected upon her return to Tilbury and no infections were found. Although some passengers did experience gastroenteritis during the cruise, the London Port Health Authority confirmed that they were not notified of any illnesses aboard the ship when she docked at Tilbury, which could potentially lead to legal action against Transocean Tours. Although Transocean Tours had planned to keep the ship in its fleet until 2012, reports surfaced in August 2009 indicating that the Marco Polo would be chartered to the newly established UK-based cruise and maritime voyages for a 5-year term starting 2nd January 2010. Her planned itineraries included cruises from the UK to South America during the Northern Hemisphere winter months and cruises to Northern Europe and the Mediterranean during the summer months. On the 13th of March 2013, Cruise and Maritime Voyages announced that the Marco Polo would be terminating one of her Northern Lights cruises and entering dry dock for inspection and minor repairs. This followed an incident on the 9th of March 2013 when the ship struck an uncharted object under the command of the local pilot minutes after departing from Sortland. The cruise was ended in Antwerp, with passengers being transferred to Tilbury and London via the Channel Tunnel or ferry by coach. On 14th February 2014, a passenger died and 16 others were injured after a freak wave struck the Marco Polo in the English Channel during a storm. One seriously injured passenger was airlifted off the ship by helicopter. At the time, the ship was en route to Tilbury, carrying 735 passengers and 349 crew members. On the 1st of November 2014, while attempting to dock at the port of Leknes in Lofoten, Norway, a strong breeze caused the Marco Polo to drift off course, leading to the ship running aground. On 20 July 2020, Cruise and Maritime Voyages entered administration. The company's administrators sold the Marco Polo at auction for $2,770,000 on October 22, 2020. Plans by Offshore Solutions, unlimited to return the ship to service, were never realized. And the buyer also abandoned plans to convert the vessel into a floating hotel in Dubai. 2 months later, the ship was resold for approximately $4 million to an Indian company, The Marco Polo arrived at the scrap yards of Alang, India on January 13, 2021, where she was beached and subsequently scrapped, with the process beginning on March 28, 2021. And so, the remarkable story of the MS Marco Polo came to an end. From her humble beginnings as the Soviet ocean liner Alexander Pushkin to her years of carrying travelers across the seas as a beloved cruise ship, she left an indelible mark on maritime history. Her story is one of transformation, resilience, and the ever-changing tides of the shipping world. Though her final chapter concluded on the beaches of Alang, her legacy lives on in the memories of those who sailed on her and the stories we continue to share. Thank you for joining me on this incredible voyage through time. Until next time, I'm Jamie from Old Shipping Lines. See you in the next video.
And that marks the end of a video, my friends. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Now, if you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing to the channel, as that would help out the channel a lot. Now, if you have any thoughts, comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section down below, as I absolutely love reading your comments. And please let me know in the comment section down below as well what ships you would like me to cover in the future. Now be as well sure to check out our social media pages. We are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, and we also recently have a website, oldshippinglines.com, where we have articles of the ships we cover and we have book reviews as well. I think you will enjoy the website very much. Now, with that out of the way, guys, I wish you all a good night or day, wherever you are. Stay safe, stay happy, and we will see each other on the next video. Goodbye, my friends.